Okay, let's talk about fuel surcharges. The topic of this FBTV video podcast today is going to be fuel surcharge. Now, again, if you are thinking about becoming a freight broker agent, want to get into the transportation, the business side of transportation, check us out at Taltoa, TALTOA.com, or you can call me, 479-668-0838. I get asked a lot about fuel surcharge as it pertains to a broker. First of all, you have to understand what a fuel surcharge is. A fuel surcharge is designed to offset the cost of fuel to a carrier. Now, understand that is when a carrier goes in, sits down with a potential customer or a customer, and they hammer out a contract. Okay, this is going to be our line haul. Line haul is the base charge for moving a load from point A to point B. Anything added to that's going to be accessorial. So, in essence, a fuel surcharge is accessorial. So, the way it works, a trucking company can go in and say, okay, our line haul is going to be $2 a mile to move a load from point A to point B, as long as fuel stays at this level. But if fuel goes up, that will kick in the fuel surcharge, and that's going to add more money to the base rate in an accessorial way. And it will stay there as long as fuel's up, but when it comes back down, the fuel surcharge will decrease, so it's going to fluctuate depending on fuel cost. A trucking company goes in and they negotiate the fuel surcharge. It's just not something in stone where this is what the fuel surcharge is. Everybody's fuel surcharge is going to be different, as well as it's going to be negotiated. All right? So, now I've always not been pro fuel surcharge for a lot of reasons. I think it hurts a trucking company more than it helps it. I mean, I understand if you got to go in and do it, but a lot of times what's happening, a trucking company's going in and they're making their line haul low, but they're making that fuel surcharge fluctuate at a higher percentage maybe. And they're making, trying to make money off fuel surcharge. Trucking company, the fuel surcharge is designed so the trucking company doesn't lose money when fuel goes up like it's done here in the last year and a half. Well, year and 3 or 4 months anyway, since we know who became president. Not knocking if you're for Biden, that's fine, but facts are facts. Now, when it comes to a broker, understand a broker is a convenience for a trucking company. Even though we get used as dispatchers and trucking companies use brokers for, 100% of their loads, and we got videos out there talking about loads. Or if a trucking company is using a broker for all of their loads, the kind of money they lose. I'll try to put at the end of the video on YouTube, I'll put if I can find it, I'll put the link up to that video so you can see it. But a broker is here as a convenience. We do not negotiate. A broker doesn't negotiate a fuel surcharge with a shipper. The shipper tells us, hey, generally the shipper is telling us the total amount, the gross amount they're paying to move a load from point A to point B. All right. Now, if you're a trucking company, you may, let's say it's $2 a mile, and the load's going 1,000 miles. That means your line haul's going to be $2,000, and then your fuel surcharge, depending on what percentage it's at, depending on the price of fuel, you may have a 15% fuel surcharge, 20% fuel surcharge, depending on the cost of fuel. So if you got a 20% fuel surcharge, that means another $200 is going to be added to that rate. Okay, that makes sense. Now, a broker doesn't do that. The shipper's giving us the total amount they're paying to move the load from point A to point B. You ask them about the fuel surcharge, they'll tell you 9 times out of 10 it's built in, it's included. That's because we're not doing a contract. We're not sitting down with a customer doing contracts, hammering out contracts. Why aren't we? Well, because we do not have trucks. We don't have our own trucks. Okay? You might find occasionally a brokerage that's large enough to be able to do something like that, but as a rule, no. Now, the fuel surcharge, we can't split it as a broker. So if the customer tells us, hey, we're paying, this load's paying $2,000, okay, fuel surcharge is going to be built in, But we do not have a contract set up with the trucking company. Our contract, broker carrier agreement, nowhere in there is going to talk anything about fuel surcharge because we don't control it. A broker doesn't control it. Not like a trucking company does with their customer. We don't control it with our customer. They tell us. So that's why the numbers are always gross numbers. Now, it's been my experience that whenever I've had a customer that, I went to them and I said, hey, the truck wants this much money. Maybe it's more than what they're offering or something like that. During the negotiation with that customer, that shipper, they come back and say, okay, yeah, we're going to do it, but we're going to increase the fuel surcharge. They're not going to touch that line haul. Now, why is that? Because fuel surcharges fluctuate. They go up and down with depending on the cost of fuel. But the line haul, they want that to stay steady. Now, why do they want that to stay steady? Simply because if a broker can get a customer to go up on the line haul, it's going to be at that rate. But when a customer uses, I'm going to add a little bit to the fuel surcharge to get it up to what they want. It's a temporary thing. You see what I mean? So I don't know if that's going to help you or not with the fuel surcharge. But that's why generally brokers don't split it. Brokers aren't able to get it. That's between a trucking company and one of their direct customers when they are sitting down across the table dealing with the customer direct. That's the other thing. A lot of times trucking company may say, well, what about fuel surcharge? You got to tell them it's included because it is. All right. Another thing, too, I've found, even if you've got a customer that is separating the fuel surcharge, generally the broker don't want to go in there and have to do all the paperwork. And again, and when I say paperwork, I'm talking about the calculations. Okay, they got to split this. This is this. This is this. Okay. It's just not able to do it. Plus, the trucking company and the broker does not have any type of contract where the agreement states what the fuel surcharge is going to be. Otherwise, it'll be separate with every trucking company on every load. This customer over here may be paying a 10% fuel surcharge when fuel is over $2.50 a gallon, while this one over here may be paying 15%. See what I mean? So every customer is going to be different. There's no way you can be generalized. All right. Now, I hope that helps you out. Now, we can go into detail with you about this during our training. We have all kinds of training packages available through Tautoa. Again, they all include the essential training for working day-to-day as a freight broker. We're going to go through everything. How to find customers, how to approach, what to say, how to respond, how to calculate rates, negotiate, find trucks. Everything from getting the load all the way through delivery of the load, including legal and contracts, is included with the training. Once you complete the essential training, that's when you can enter our mentorship program if you wish. That's where you will be placed through us under a licensed broker. So you can begin your broker operation, start getting the experience. All right. Start building a customer base. Now, your customer base, and it doesn't matter if it's what broker you're with, your customer base, any customer you bring in, that customer should be yours to work when you leave. So if you build a customer base and you exit the mentorship program, move on to another company, or even move in to Tautoa Logistics, it doesn't matter. Your customers are your customers. You've put in the effort to build that relationship. They are yours. Generally speaking, when it comes to sales, it's very rare that the person doing the buying is buying the company. More times than not, they're buying the individual. In other words, they're buying you, the freight broker or freight broker agent, as the case may be. All right. If you have any questions about fuel surcharge, you want to discuss it more, feel free to contact me, FBTV. Or you can email me at fbtvfreightbrokertv.com, fbtv@freightbrokertv.com, Skype FBTV. Visit our website, freightbrokertv.com. You can also call me at Tautoa, 479-668-0838.